How would you say your team responded this week after, that was a close, narrow loss? What have you seen out of your guys out of practice this week?
They've been great. Coach has done a great job with them, and they continue to give us their all their attention and effort on a daily basis, and it makes it a lot of fun to coach that way. I'm telling you, when you come to work every day and you don't have to question, are your guys listening to you? Are they giving you, are they giving you their very best effort? That's one thing from Jump Street with these guys that's never been in jeopardy. And if they'll keep giving it to us like that and we keep coaching better, we'll keep getting better.
What can you tell us about the quarterback position as far as preparation this week? Coach Traylor was telling us earlier in the week that Frank and Lowell were splitting reps. How have things gone this week?
Yeah, that's been a similar way that it's played out. We got, we always try to have multiple guys ready to go. I mean, you can't always even the reps out, as you guys know. But it was good to see Frank back out there this week, and I thought Lowell did some really good things in the game when he had his opportunity, and so we've kind of focused our repetitions and game planning around kind of those two guys this week as we prepare.
Hey, Greg, you're up.
Barry, if Lowell ends up being the guy, how much different would the offense look from what we got to see last week, or is that just kind of the stuff he's comfortable with?
Yeah, I think it'd be very similar to what we've seen in our system. Lowe has played, and really Frank too. Those guys have been in a lot of different schemes over the last several years of their career, and they played a lot of football. And so I think they have a broad net of things that you can, that they can be comfortable with and play. That's what we're trying to do from a game plan standpoint, is just to help our guys to learn our offense. We try to evaluate what we've got and how we can build around them, how we can best play around those guys. But, Lowell and Frank have similar skill sets, not just, being left-handed is handy, just having two guys that are left-handed to where one's not left, one's right, it creates a unique set of challenges. But I would say overall, they both can handle a very similar type game plan. And so I think that's a good thing moving forward into this week.
Jeff was telling us this week that the first 4 weeks of the season are kind of like a training camp that you guys didn't get to have, since fall camp was kind of like spring. Do you feel like as you've gone through it, you've got to learn how the pieces fit and kind of start to get a better?
Absolutely. I would agree with that, Greg. I think that's true. I mean, we certainly have tried and fought, scratched and clawed to try to win every one of those games, and have not had a training camp approach as we've gone. But like Coach is alluding to, we knew that, these first 4 weeks would kind of take the place of spring ball and fall camp to a degree, to help you get to understand your guys better. And so after a month of playing and practicing, 6 weeks, I guess, of practicing, but after a month of playing, I think you really get a good feel of who we are and, what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are. And so, we've got to take that as an offense and as a staff offensively and really tighten up the loose parts that we've had at moments during games. And if we can do that, we'll be headed in the right direction offensively.
What was the biggest thing you learned during these 4 weeks? Maybe something you've been able to tweak or change, a guy at a new position, or really anything that jumps out that you've done as a result?
Sure. I think it's probably been, I don't know if there's anything in particular that's jumped out, Greg, but just learning how our guys learn, learning how our guys practice, learning, how to communicate with them, how to play just kind of to their strengths, how to practice, all those things that I think we're starting to get some real clarity on that. I think, a lot of the things that we thought based on off-season study and trying to learn our roster that we inherited have been validated. I think you look at Sincere, he's played really well. We thought he was a really good player last year, obviously, and he's been that for us this year. And I could go on and on about other examples of that. I think the most pleasant surprise that we've had some guys that, have gotten more consistent and contributed in a really strong way. And that's been really positive. Josh Cephas is one that sticks out to me, who I'm not exactly sure how much he played last year. I know he played some, but has really stepped up into a leadership role for us in the way he practices and plans. And so there's been some surprises, in a good way across the board at numerous positions. And we just got to continue to grow.
JJ?
Barry, what about this BYU team? What jumps out? Does it start with their front guys on the D line?
Yeah, it does. They're very big and very powerful up front. They, their whole plan is built around those three guys up front. Kind of controlling those gaps on the D line, and they do a tremendous job of it. They they're just extremely sound, extremely well coached, and they're talented on top of that. And so you take those three things, and typically that goes to present a great challenge for us, and they present a great challenge. They're a good football team, and they know who they are. And the good news is, from an offensive standpoint, you know who they are as well. You know what you're going to get. I mean, we know how to prepare, and for the looks, there certainly will have some things that we haven't seen, like every defense that you go into the week. They have some wrinkles, but it's pretty clear to see who they try to be and what they are. And so from a game plan perspective, you're able to practice and see it and get some repetitions against it. And now we just got to go put it in action from a physical standpoint. And so I think our guys are excited about it. I really do. And they know that they present great deal of challenges because of the physical nature of who they are, and they've got a good scheme. Let's go cut it loose and see what happens.
These last two matchups with the two defensive lines you guys have played have been really tough. Do you have to game plan any different to try and help with the pass protection, or how do you go about trying to, maximize that?
Well, last week was a little bit different than this week. Last week was 4 down, and they had some, edge rushers that had been problematic. And we certainly did some things during the game to try to help. Probably could, in hindsight, should have helped a little bit more. Than what we did. This week's a little bit different because these guys are more power driven. I'm not saying they don't rush the passer well, because they do, but you're talking about 300-pound guys, across the board that are there to gap control, big, heavy guys, and they may not all be 300, but big, thick guys that are there for gap control, spill the ball out wide, and then have everybody on the second level rally up and make the tackle. And so from a pass protection standpoint, really this week it's more about, picking up the blitzes, winning obviously your one-on-one matchup, but the way they play, it does present opportunity to double team guys up front in their pass rush. And so the great challenge they present in the passing game is the number of guys they drop on the second level. They have a lot of 5 guys across the board on the second level, and it's hard to throw the ball quick and short. There's some just small windows in there, so that presents its own set of challenges.
Hey, Greg, back to you.
Barry, you talked about the talent on BYU, but what can the players learn or take forward from a matchup like this, just being across from maybe some NFL guys even?
Sure. Yeah, I think that always gets guys' attention, when you play against obviously a ranked team. I think I heard Coach say, and Kyle, you guys would all know better than I do, I think it's just a handful of times that this program in its 10th or 10th year that is this 11th year or 10th year? I can't remember. One of those years that it's only been a handful of times that we played a ranked opponent. And so it certainly happened before, but it hadn't happened a lot. So, and they've gotten a lot of exposure that's merited early in the part of the year. They've been on TV a lot, and it creates an opportunity to play a national brand, a ranked team that's really good, that's got talent, it's got NFL players on it. And so I think our guys certainly see all that. And beyond that, listen, here's the deal. You get 12 games during a year. And it doesn't matter who you play. If you can't get up and get ready to play for one of those 12, then shame on you. You work all year around to get 12. Now, this one, I think there's some added incentive there with all that being said. The ranked opponent, the NFL, the name brand recognition, the opportunity to go on the road and play. So I think our guys have been really focused on the task at hand. They're excited to play and they have a great deal of respect for who BYU is. But we need to go play our best.
When you see those kind of guys in that environment, does it make the rest of the year a little bit easier? Or is there ways that helps them improve faster?
Yeah, I think it certainly can help you through the rest of the year. I think you get better when you play a big, strong, fast, well-coached team. Man, you have to, any little mistake that you make technically or assignment-wise is magnified because of the power and the strength. Sometimes when you're as good or better than people physically, you can get away with making mistakes from a technical standpoint, a targeting standpoint, meaning the spots that you're blocking, and get away with it if you're better than them. And obviously that's not the case in this particular week. We're going to have to be really detailed and focused. And if we'll take that and take that approach and use that for the rest of the remaining games as the opponents certainly we're going to play some really high caliber opponents down the stretch. Our conference is really good. But from a physical standpoint and an ability standpoint across the board, this will probably be as good as a team as we play all year long. And certainly to this point is that we played this year. And so you better be cinched up. You better be buttoned up and play with great detail and pad leverage and discipline.
We've seen kind of some shuffling along the offensive line through the first few weeks. How close are you to finding the best group or the one you want to settle on for the rest of the year?
We about got it, I think, Greg. I think we do. I think it kind of showed itself during the game and in practice over the week. But one thing that's been really positive is we've really got a chance to develop some depth, and we've played a lot of different guys up front. We'll continue to do that, but I think we've about settled on. Never is it concrete, but for this week we've settled on kind of how we're going to start the game. If you ever just lock that key and throw it away, man, then the guys that are the second guy, they don't practice with the same intensity, or if the opportunity to beat a guy out's not there, then it's those guys that get motivated, and that's how we play. We want to settle on our guys for the game plan for the week, and then let the week play itself out and the game play itself out. And I think we've got enough depth there that you could see different lineups through the week, but it is important for us to get some continuity there and get settled, and we feel like we've gotten that done.
How would you evaluate what you got out of the right tackle spot against UAB with Josh Otis starting and then Mekhi Hart coming in?
Well, we were really pleased with Mekhi, and he's come off an injury and set him back a little bit, and he's a very intelligent football player. He's very gifted physically. I think he continues to get better. And let me say this, Josh has been one of those pleasant surprises that we've had from the camp in the season. He cares so much. He's got great character. He's a great teammate, and he's really played some good football snaps for us this year. And was playing against a really twitchy defensive end that, there was a few snaps where we had some problems, but he wasn't alone. We had problems at all positions, with those guys, a quarterback too, running back and across the board. But I think those two have been a good complement to each other. And we've just been really pleased with the way Mekhi has continued to progress and also been pleased with what Josh has been able to provide for us.
Jeff said Mekhi was penciled in as a day one starter at right tackle before the injury. What made him a guy who, projected to earn that role from the start of the year?
Well, I think we just got to know him pretty well in the recruiting process and saw his tape and his ability. And, Matt and Jeff and I and a lot of our coaches on our staff have been a lot of places over the years and seen a lot, you've seen what good offensive linemen look like. And, you recognize it pretty quickly with him on his film, and then see him in person and getting to know him, that you felt like he had the intelligence and the character and the desire to be good, that he could come in and right away and contribute. Now, obviously, the spring ball, he wasn't going to be here for spring anyway, if I remember correctly. I can't remember since we were all at home, but I think he was going to be a summer. Yeah, he was going to be a summer out. And then hopefully we're going to use that summertime to get him prepped, and then camp to get him prepped. And it just hasn't unveiled like that because of his injury and because of COVID. But he's certainly progressed in a very quick manner. Coach Maddox and Coach Traylor have done a great job helping them develop.
With the injury situation, how long until you think we see the best version of Mekhi?
I'd say we're probably another couple of weeks out. I think you're going to see a better version this week than you saw last, and then probably gets game conditioning, another week or two, and then down the stretch run. That'd be my guess. The last 6 weeks of the season, I would say that you would probably see him at what is to be his best right now.
And how about for Kevin Davis? He's going through kind of a similar thing. When is he going to get to his top form, do you think?
I think we're real close to that. I would anticipate that being a little sooner. His clock's a little bit more expedited in that regard than Mekhi's. He's got a game up on him. So I would expect that Kevin continue to progress in the right way, starting with this week.